forests look calm, almost beautiful during the day, but once the sun goes down, they change. The silence feels heavier, the shadows move differently, and sometimes the forest doesn't feel empty. Tonight, I'll share with you 3 creepy true forest horror stories that feel too real. If you think you're brave enough for the woods, think again. I was 19 when this happened. My friends and I planned a camping trip deep in the woods of northern Michigan. It was supposed to be a normal weekend. 3 tents, a big campfire, and 0 cell service. The first night was calm, filled with laughter and stories around the fire. The second night was different. Around midnight, we heard footsteps, slow, heavy steps crunching the leaves, circling our campsite. We grabbed our flashlights and shined them into the trees. Nothing, just silence and thick shadows staring back. We laughed it off, trying to convince ourselves it was just an animal. But when we turned back to the fire, our campfire was gone. Not burned down, not smoldering, just gone. Cold dirt where it should have been. No ashes, no logs. My friend swore he saw someone, a figure standing behind the trees. But when we aimed the flashlight, there was nothing. That night, we didn't sleep. By sunrise, we packed and left. The next morning, we told a park ranger what happened. He froze, then said quietly, "That's impossible. No one is supposed to camp there anymore. Not after what happened." When we asked what he meant, he just looked at us and said, "Some fires should never be lit again." This story comes from my uncle, a forest ranger in Oregon during the 90s. One winter evening, while patrolling a trail, he saw a man standing completely still among the trees. The man wore a bright red jacket, almost glowing against the snow. He didn't move. He didn't even blink. He just stared. My uncle called out, "Sir, the trail is closed. You need to head back." The man didn't answer. When my uncle stepped closer, the man slowly turned and walked deeper into the woods. But when my uncle checked the snow, there were no footprints. He followed anyway, his flashlight catching flashes of the red jacket ahead. But every time he got closer, it slipped just out of sight. Finally, he reached a clearing. Empty. No red jacket. No man. A still, frozen silence. The next morning, he asked an older ranger about it. The man just nodded and said, "Yeah, people see him sometimes. Always in red. But no one ever gets close." My uncle never walked that trail alone again. When I was a kid, my dad took me hiking in a forest near our town. The trail was called Raven Hill. People whispered it was haunted, but my dad never believed in that stuff. We hiked until sunset. Then, as we made our way back, we heard a woman's scream echoing through the trees. It was sharp, desperate, and it made my skin crawl. My dad grabbed my hand and whispered, "Don't answer. Don't say anything." The screams grew louder, closer, then suddenly stopped. The forest went silent. No birds, no crickets, nothing. We walked faster, but right before we reached the car, the scream came again, this time directly behind me. I turned. No one, just trees, swaying in the wind. My dad shoved me into the car, started the engine, and drove off without a word. Years later, when I was old enough, I asked him about that night. He looked uneasy and finally said, "I'd heard those screams before, and everyone who follows them doesn't come back." Asterisk. And those were 3 creepy true forest horror stories that feel too real. A vanishing campfire, the man in the red jacket, or the screams at Raven Hill. Which one chilled you the most? Comment below with the story you'll never forget. And if you're brave enough, subscribe for more true horror stories. Because the next time you find yourself alone in the woods, you might not be as alone as you think.